Hello everyone, and welcome to Old World. We are live once again with another 2025 Old World Community Tournament matchup. We have a little bit of a unique matchup for you today, insofar that we have a player substituting into the tournament. This very likely will be one of the last substitutes, if not the last substitute entirely, that we will have for the 2025 tournament. Okay, we're getting set up here. Our players are getting set up on both sides of the map. Quick layout for our viewers here. Okay. Sorry. I'm just making sure that we're all connected on Discord. And yeah, I think we're good to go. So if you're joining with us live, welcome. Glad to have you here. If you're joining us after the fact on YouTube, please give us a like and subscribe. All right, so what we have here is Carthage on one side of the map with a builder, Carthaginian builder. Very nice to see here. Let's do a breakdown of the map itself. We are looking at standard community settings. We do have a dual coastal rain basing map. However, it is ultra wide, so our players are quite a ways away from each other. Let's do a city count on the map. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seams, 7, 8. 8 on each side of the map, so that's 16. With a 17th city site in the center. This is one of the things I've been talking about sometimes, is these map layouts. When you go ultra wide, it doesn't necessarily lead to a larger amount of city sites on the map. We've seen dual square maps that have had something as little as 12 to 14, maybe 15 city sites. There's only a few extra city sites on this ultra wide map at 17. It can go a little bit higher than that. And the other fun quirk about this is that because the map is so tight from top to bottom, you're effectively funneled directly at your opponent, right? So there's no real question of like, do I go north or do I go south? It's really just only one direction you can head, which is towards your opponent. It's a map style that's interesting, not necessarily my preferred style, but it certainly can promote a lot of fun and interesting conflict-oriented decisions, because even though our capitals are quite a ways away from each other, we will be funneled directly at each other very quickly, very early on. In fact, it seems like back here, there's only just a couple of city sites. You have 1, 2, 3, and then this fourth one down here, which is kind of tucked away. So really, the site you're looking to clear is right up here. Lovely 3 marble location, which both players will be able to make use of the Statesman family there if they want to do that synergy. Or what's another one that I like to do? I mean, I guess with Statesman and Decree, you'd probably want that. Yeah, so they'll be clearing in this direction, and then they'll be right in this valley soon enough, where you have a couple of Gaulish sites and the Vandals and the final Barbarian site. And then you have this nice mountain pass and this nice valley down here, and this is going to be your contested arena in terms of the center of the map. One thing we want to watch out for is how quickly both players expand across the map. We'll take a look at Rome and see what they settled. We did a tactician, which is smart, and we also have champions, which I like as well. So I think that's a really good grab for the Romans, because when you're dealing with the Carthaginian expansion machine, you're going to want to try and make sure that your expansive pace can keep up. And one of the best ways to do that, a lot of people think about the champions pick as a counter to the Carthaginian barbarian power spike, right? The tribal power spike. They can recruit units. They can get a 6 strength unit very early. So people think about the champions pick as a counter to that specifically, which is true, yes, but then the other thing that it comes in to play a factor having a very quick champions opening settle is that it's going to increase your clear time. And we have a military archetype here with a tactician, which is also known to be a good clearer. A hero would be another option, maybe a zealot for extra fatigue, but you don't really need to add that into the Roman kit, although it is funny because look how far we can get now. A zealot would be able to get even further. Sorry, yes, a zealot would be able to get even further. So when you're adding in champions like that, that's a really nice way to kind of offset the threat of Carthaginian momentum because you want to be able to make sure that you expand. I like also moving out this militia pretty quickly. You want to get this caught up because if nothing else, it can hold a site while your tactician keeps moving forward. I'll do a quick recap here for what we're looking at traits. We do have a tactician. We are going educated tactician, so we're looking to get that science propped up pretty quickly there. All right, so that's interesting. Carthage went bold builder. I find that fascinating. All right, but we are a governor, so we have a 6-turn slinger in the capital if we want it. I'll be interested to see if he swaps. Hazard has promised us some interesting gameplay. I actually joked with him a second ago because hold on. Let's take a look here. I'm just actually noticing they're having a conversation about setting. Okay. Yep. Our players have agreed to have no timer. Yeah, so let's have a discussion about our new friend Hazard. Hazard has joined the tournament as a substitute due to one player dropping out of the tournament for scheduling reasons. It's a very exciting time to have a new player make his way into the tournament. He is joining the lower bracket, however, which means Hazard has only one chance to keep himself alive in the tournament. If he loses just once, he will be exiting the tournament. Also, the other exciting thing about this substitute replacement is I'm pretty sure this will be the last time in the 25 tournament where we bring in a substitute to replace a dropping out player. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe moving forward now that the lower bracket has advanced a bit and we have players who have descended from the upper bracket and are now awaiting their matches in a higher tier of the lower bracket. You can go on challenge with an O. .com to see the bracket if you're interested. But basically, the way the double elimination works is as players move up in the upper bracket and then get booted down due to losing, higher round losses put them even further in the lower bracket than the people who will start from the bottom of the lower bracket are already in, if that makes any sense. I might not be explaining that well. So anyway, the reason why I'm mentioning that is because Hazard is getting in right at the opportunity while we have a basically bottom match in the lower bracket that still had yet to be fought. I think moving forward, if we have players from either bracket drop out of the tournament, we will very likely just start awarding wins and moving the bracket along while getting the tournament, while the tournament pace picks up. We have lost, I think we've seen about 7 eliminations so far, if plus or minus 1. So from about 30 players who have signed up, 7 or so are already out of the tournament. And yeah, as the tournament bracket continues to move up, especially the lower bracket, and losses get turned out, it just probably won't be sensible to bring in more replacements. So this is the one last opportunity to see a new player enter the 2025 tournament, and it's very exciting. Hazard has promised some interesting gameplay, which I joked with him because then he picked Carthage. And he didn't quite understand the joke, but that's fine. He might not be following all the action in the tournament so far, but Carthage has been one of the more popular picks. In fact, along with Rome has been another popular pick. Persia as well has been another popular pick. If you're following along this tournament in real time, Carthage just had a very phenomenal showing this weekend. playing in 3 out of the 4 games that took place, I believe, or actually 4 out of the 4 games that took place. 2 of which currently ongoing, and 2 of which Carthage has managed to take the win. So we'll be on a lookout for that. However, Hazard has said that he plans to show off some interesting gameplay. So about this bold builder, one thing I'm going to be watching out for myself, I would not be surprised. One thing you could do with a builder, and with all the civics that you have for Carthage, I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like this builder moving around a lot. You know, maybe you take some time here, you get your settler, you get some of your buildings, your urbans started, right? Is this 2 workers? What is this? It is 2 workers. He already got 2 workers already. Interesting. So that leads me to believe that he built a worker first. I already missed that. So there you go. We already have a different play style from Hazard. Like, nice to see that. They are starting the game in tight. I feel like they should probably just do simultaneous, but I'll bring that up in a second. Yeah, so we built a worker first. Okay, don't hate that. And another thing I would probably keep an eye out for to see if he is very liberal with assigning this builder governor around. That could be very interesting to watch out because, again, he did choose bold here. So think about this. Every city generating 200 civics per turn, he could slot in a bold builder immediately with, right? He could migrate workers. Doesn't matter the family because it would still have the same build speed as a regular worker since the builder was in there, and then that next city could build a military unit in 6 turns as if it were a military city. So I'd be curious to see if he tries to do some shenanigans by having a highly mobile builder. We're purchasing tribes up here, barbs down here. Makes sense. Classic Carthage doing Carthage stuff. And let's take a look at Anarkos and see how we're doing in Rome. We have some pins set up. Let's see if I can locate it. Where are we? I know you're around here somewhere. Peekaboo. Okay, well, I can't find it, so who cares? All right. Our settler is already out here, and that does make sense because the slight delay on the Carthage settler for building a worker first. Really like that play. It's always fun to do tricks like that. Another fun thing that I've done once or twice, with a champ seat, you can build a warrior first in 4 turns. It does set you back on a city by a little bit, but it's something I've done once or twice to decent effect. It's an extra cautious play style. So if you're worried about a tactician coming over the hills to come assault your starting area and stun you, you could play a little bit more conservative, delay that starting settler, and go straight for a opening warrior or slinger to surprise your invading tactician opponent with a second military unit that they absolutely, under no circumstances, would be expecting. And even the mighty tactician would likely be no match for 2 military units at the start of the game, plus the militia. So that can certainly put your opponent in for a surprise if you're worried about getting stomped on by an opening tactician. Let's see. We have a settler coming up, ready to settle, going directly for the free site. Don't hate that. We will have... the one thing that I like about the tribal units here for Carthage is that they're very good at just camping on city sites, so less pressure to clear and then settle as you move along. And going straight for the apprentice acolyte, so it looks like we're keeping religion in mind. Makes sense for Carthage. That's right, just letting them know about simultaneous if they wish to do so. We got a promotion here. We're in Warden, always a fantastic promotion to get. Let's take a look at the value of urban on this map. We do have river top to bottom right here in the central core of our nation. And then we'll have another border river, top to bottom, just before we get to the center of the map. So when we think about invasions, right, if we're of Rome and we're coming in this way, this river could be a big tactical thing. And then if we're thinking about the defense, maybe we lose this city or we're fighting over this territory, this river could also be an interesting tactical obstacle. So I think, I think Amphibious would have some value here, and I would probably grab that, honestly. Let's look at compared to Ranger. Ranger could be useful up in these woods or down here, but Ranger feels more common to me than Amphibious. So I always like to try and grab Amphibious on a warrior or two when it pops up, especially on the coastal rain basing map, because that's, I don't know, just something I value. We have a question from chat, and I can actually look into that for a moment. At this stage, the question is Carthage and Assyria the most played nations on the map? In the current tournament. I do not believe that is the case. Carthage might now be taking the lead, but Rome is certainly high up there. I have the stats here somewhere, but where are they? Let's see if I can take a quick look. Thought I posted. Yeah, here we go. All right, so as of just a few games ago, this does not include this weekend. Greece was played 8 times. Rome was played 8 times. Persia was played 8 times. Carthage 6. Assyria 6. So if we include this weekend, which added 3 Carthage games, that would bring them to 9. But Rome is also in one of those games, so that would bring Rome to 9. This would be 10 for both Rome and Carthage. Assyria would go up to 7. And yeah, so the least played nations in the tournament so far are Babylon, then Kush, and followed by, in fact, I actually think the Axumites have surpassed the Egyptians now. However, the Axumites are struggling to win any games. And a lot of that is random, so don't read too much. Not random, but there's way too many variables, so don't read too much into that. We have a traders down here, and the reason why I say don't read too much into that is because there is just so many variables that contribute to what can close out a game. Everything from archetypes to map to player skill differentials to scheduling differentials. In fact, one of the Axumite losses happens to be the match where Yagman had to concede due to the fact that he withdrew from the tournament. So that's not to suggest that his opponent wouldn't have won the game anyway. It's possible, but it's also, we just don't know. So statistically speaking, that's not really a reliable variable in terms of an actual simple win-loss. All right, so, but yeah, it makes sense. You know, champion nations in this type of head-to-head matchup are definitely going to be popular picks. I think that like Greece and Rome are 2 of the most popular picks, and then the mid picks you have basically. The current list I'm looking at is Greece, Rome, Persia, Carthage, Assyria. So 4 of those 5 picks, 3 of those 5 picks are champions nations, and the other 2 that aren't are statesman nations. So you figure champions and order generation are both going to be popular picks. It's funny because Persia has the best order economy in the game, and they're kind of getting thrashed in the tournament a little bit. So I don't think, again, there's lots of different things. A lot of the other thing to think about is a lot of players here are playing multiplayer for the first time in this tournament. Many of our players are signing up to play multiplayer for the first time, and that can have varying results. We have some players who are playing for the first time and are having incredibly strong showings. You know, I believe a couple of our highest ranked players in the upper bracket just got into multiplayer for the first time in this tournament. And then on the other hand, we have a couple of players who have played multiplayer for the first time and lost both of their starting games and have already been eliminated. So you're going to have a lot of wild variance there in terms of skill level and things like that. All right, so back to this match in particular. We are on turn 10. Let's do a quick breakdown of where we are on science. The tactician, the educated tactician, has 21 science per turn to 11. So let's take a look at our overall investment. Only 10 turns in, getting nearly double the amount of science as Carthage. Makes sense when we have effectively double to start. Our orders rate is going to be looking fine. Military score, Carthage, because Carthage is Carthage. Legitimacy, nice little bit of a leg up for Rome. Let's take a look at some clearing down here. We're building another settler I like, and really loving the warrior first. This is a great benefit of Rome, even though this isn't your quote-unquote military city. No reason not to build a military unit first when you can make them in 6 turns as if it were a military city. And this is just the correct cautious play. If you're playing against Rome. Against Carthage. I mean, you just... And also in general, I really think players... I think there's meta gameplay elements, right? Really liking the scouting from Anarkos too. If we take a peek here, Anarkos is committed to getting across the map. The biggest intelligence point that this will reveal to you from the start of the game is what archetype your opponent is. That is crucial because it will inform you a couple of things. It will inform you whether you're about to get rushed by a tactician, or if it's a zealot, whether they're thinking about combat-oriented clearing stuff, or even discovering it's a builder will give you a sense of what you're up against, because a builder being very far away from you can also spell trouble because that's lots of time they have to develop. So this knowledge of understanding that you're up against a builder will let you know, okay, so maybe he's not going to be ultra aggressive. Again, these are assumptions you will make, but it's better to make assumptions from an informed position rather than just being completely blind. You could still make the wrong assumption, but you do the best you can to make the correct assessment. So seeing a builder as Rome will maybe think, okay, I can probably play a little bit more greedy. Not always the case. Carthage can still instigate a rush, especially later, like a mid-game rush. He could rush up to machinery. He could rush up to maybe land consolidation. Let's check out the camel and stompy boy situation on the map. We got some camels right here. Camel supremacy. Look at them. Watch out. They spit. And we have some stompy boys and camels hanging out. The best of bros. Look at this. Right by the mountainside on a sweet, humble vacation. Cows can come too. Why not? And more stompy boys down here. And more stompy boys down here. And we have stompies and stompies and stompies all around. Fantastic. Great. Yeah, so there are certainly some options. And Builder is an interesting archetype. It's one of the stronger openers. Surprisingly enough, we haven't been seeing it a lot in the tournament. I think schemers have kind of been stealing the show quite a bit for the first round of the tournament. And I think another thing that you're going to see in this tournament is, or this kind of setup, right? Because I think it's fair to say that this is some of the most content we've had produced for Old World in quite some time. And we're all getting a nice opportunity to see not just one player play the game, right? You're actually getting, every time one of these matches get cast, you get 3 things at a time. You get to watch this player play, you get to watch this player play, and then you get to watch whatever moron is spending all of his time casting this stuff to critique and teach and talk strategy or theory or make stuff up. And, so there's lots of interesting learning opportunities. And I think one thing you're going to get from that is you'll have one player that might do something really, really cool, really, really impressive, right? So like the Hittite Schemer is one that has popped up already, or the Assyrian Ballister Rush is another one that has popped up once or twice. You're going to see kind of like those niche and specific strategies happening. And then, understandably, you're going to see other players go, hey, well, that was really cool, and it worked really well, so now I'm going to do that in my match. And so that's going to be something that will inform some of these repeat picks here. And I think Carthage is indeed having a bit of a moment. just because they're a very forgiving nation. You can expand easily, you can develop easily. We do have a worker already. That's the other great thing about the Carthaginian builder, especially your expansion rate is great, and then you get to make super fast workers everywhere, which is another nice synergy. Lots of discussion in Discord now about the Carthaginian tactician, but the Carthaginian builder is just as terrifying. On that note, if you are joining us after the fact on YouTube, we have some people with us live here. I want to thank you all being with us live. Really appreciate you joining me, watching or listening. If you're watching after the fact on YouTube, please take some time, give us a like, subscribe. Also, on my YouTube channel is a section that's titled Allies and Adversaries. There you will find links to all of the other YouTube channels. Go around, give everybody a follow. Those are all the current content creators of Old World, both old and new. And join the Discord. If you want to join the Discord, in the game, on the title screen on the bottom left is a Discord icon that you can use to join the Old World Discord, and you can talk shop there, learn strategies, have all of your rules questions answered, and of course comment on the tournament or suggest ideas for the developers who might actually take you up on some of your suggestions. Getting a Shrine of Bologna in the champion seat. Did I say that right? Yes, I did. That's funny. I don't think I've ever said that out loud, and I just realized it sounds like baloney. So we have a Shrine of Bologna in Rome. And we took a Gaulish wife, a schemer Gaulish wife. That's a really nice start. That's where some of our science is coming from, too. Really like marrying into the Gauls. They like us. Be curious if we attempt to get some peace there. We'll probably want to kill them. So, unfortunately, typically when you declare a war on a tribe, when you have a tribal spouse, that means you have to imprison them. But we have already secured an heir, which is nice. And have our boys met yet? They have. They've just met. So now they are aware that it's tactician versus builder. Yes, that the Gaulish ruler is also a tactician. So that's going to boost that opinion further. Really nice to see. Let's take a look at the politics in Rome. We have somebody who the commander, likely? Yes, a commander. Bold. And superstitious versus our educated. So classic crappy start. Opposing archetype and opposing trait is a very nice way to give you a negative 100 boost to a family right out of the gate. Always shitty to get that, but I mean, such is life in the Old World. We have our boys, our favorite family in the game, the landowners being brought in. So, all right, so what do? We do landowners, statesmen, champions. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't hate it. Cool. Probably would like to see a forward settle on this, just because buying along the coast is such a tactically strong ability, and you'd be able to counter what could potentially be the urban sprawl spam of a builder down here. It will be a little bit difficult with the marsh and the mountain situation, but still always a possibility in the central plain. The other thing I like to think about, especially with landowners, is things like groves. We have two here, which is nice. Another 4 here. 5, yeah, so plenty of groves. We could see an interesting play for land consolidation as the Romans. What do we have flagged? Anything? We did divination into aristocracy. That's a classic science opener. Gets you the 2 quickest paths to science right away. Your shrines will give you acolytes for science, and of course, centralization as a first law will get you some more science in your capital. So this is a classic opening science push. Labor force is next. Do we have techs? Oh, we're getting stone boost. That makes sense. Stone boost can be hard to pass up. Let's take a look at Carthage and see what they're doing. Politics in Carthage is fine. Still only the 2 cities. Going straight into council. Not sure I quite understand this, but maybe we're thinking we just want to buy more tribes and we want more money. I don't think that's necessary. It's only getting us an extra 5 gold. So that's not solid. We could be waiting because maybe we're going to go right into putting an acolyte. I guess that would make sense. That would be part of it. I assume he's going to get an acolyte right now and go for that religion. Yes, I think this will show off the flexibility of Carthage. Honestly, I'm not kidding. I am more terrified of a Carthaginian builder than I am of a Carthaginian tactician or anything that's a Carthaginian rush. And the reason for that is because builders across a larger map are horrifying to deal with developmentally if you are not also a builder. And it's harder to counter them directly because the easiest way to counter somebody who's playing greedy, for example, starting their opening cities with literally specialists, we did a couple workers, we did specialists, right? The best way to counter them is what? Military, right? So you go and kill them. But it's harder to do, it's harder to do across a longer distance. That's issue number 1. And issue number 2, as Carthage, is they can produce a military without producing a military. So it makes it harder to kill them, which means a builder can sit back and do builder shit without any actual cost. Like they're not really vulnerable as Carthage. So yeah, one of my very first multiplayer losses. When I first started playing multiplayer, I went on a bit of a hot streak against only just a couple of players. I think it was Alcaris, Fluffy Bunny, Ninja, and somebody else, and I don't remember. And I had a good, solid winning streak, and one of my very first losses was against Ninja, and he beat me twice. The first time he beat me with a Babylonian Archer Rush, which was infuriating because I literally just killed him the match before with essentially the same thing. So he just did it to me, and I happened to be not doing it. And then the other thing that he did the next time was he played Carthage, he played a builder, and there was dick all I could do about the fact that he consumed half of the map in like 20 turns, and he had workers everywhere and was building barracks and Odeons and quarries and everything he could ever need because Carthage is gross. Anyway, so that's classic scientific multiplayer history. But yeah, Carthage builder is terrifying. I think that's a bigger threat to deal with than pretty much any other archetype, to be honest. In that nation, I mean. So for Rome here, though, we're making some good expansion. Let's take a look at the comparison between the sites expansion. We've actually cleared one more site. So this is one thing that you're going to see. Let's talk about the weakness of the builder. The weakness of the builder is happening right here. Is this 2 workers? I'm confused because it looks like is this like a bug, a UI bug for me? No, it's 2 workers. Okay, sorry. Yeah. So this is the weakness of the worker right here. You can build, the builder. You can build all the workers you could ever want. You can spam them. You can just have so many workers, and then you can stack them, right? To double up the speed with which you build your improvements, right? That's cool too. But the problem, we have no freaking orders to do all of this stuff. So as you are building one improvement, a second improvement, and stacking, so this is going to cost 2 orders per turn, right? As you're doing all of this, well, how are you going to also scout? Look, this scout hasn't moved in a while. How are you also going to clear, right? So that's your biggest weakness if you decide to roll a builder is somewhat paradoxically, you shouldn't actually play your opening turns all that different as a builder. If you start spamming too many workers and building too many improvements and stacking all your workers, well, then you're going to choke your order economy. And then you're not going to be able to scout, clear, and build and move your units. And you need to do all of those things in the first 20 or so turns, right? 20, 30 turns. So it's not too bad over here. But I was just thinking about that. We've already seen this stacking happen quite a bit, and I'm not sure that I would be stacking so consistently, because that's the other thing, right? Both of these workers, as I said, as I called out earlier, did move down to the seat right? We didn't put the builder down here, but that's fine. They did move down to the seat, but think about this. It's twice the number of orders to move. Let's say I wanted to come up here and build another shrine, right? Just as an example, I would move one worker, build the shrine, consuming all the orders to do so, and then I would move another worker just to stack. So it's an extra order or two to constantly move everything around. It's very, very order intensive to try and do what you think is maximizing that builder potential. It doesn't mean it's not good to do. I just think you need to be judicious with it. I think you need to be measured. I think you need to have a goal. It does seem like Hazard has a goal. He does have things in mind. So, he'll probably be fine. But you are trading something, right? He's moving slowly along with his clearing pace. Which brings us back to another reason why Champion Capital, when you're dealing against Carthage, is a solid pick. Because the one thing that the Champ's Capital is going to get you, more than anything, less about actually countering their barbarian army and more about ensuring that you can clear at a good rate. So something like Rome, something like a tactician, something like a hero, it's really going to help you move around the map and clear very quickly, which will be beneficial if you're going against Carthage, who has essentially default clear speed, super fast clear speed, built into their kit. We have an interesting choice here. We can get border boost if we want. We can get... we don't really need husbandry. There's goats there. There's some horses here. And then, but yeah, later in the map, there will be more benefit for husbandry. So we could pass on that for now. And we are going up to land consolidation. Love to see it. All right, so let's grab forestry right here, right now. We'll get that by turn 20-ish, and that will set us well on the path to start maximizing the science from these groves and maybe spitting out a camel. Oh, man, I love this game. Who doesn't want to just watch Old World all the time? We can get inspiring on our ruler or make them a little upset. Our spouse. They can afford to be upset. Just a little bit. The landowners like us. We're building a settler there. Love to see it. That's classic for me. I like to build a settler right from the get-go in landowners. Really nice. I think this growth boost is very underrated for landowners. When you're on connected, it's a really nice bonus, right? You get the 12 growth. Gets you a 5-turn worker, right? Without freedom, right? So this is fantastic. 5-turn worker is great compared to, I think, what is it? The 4-turn worker for a builder. So why do you need a builder when you could just have landowners? But what's even cooler about landowners is even if you're not connected, right? If you're not connected, well, you still actually get the same growth as if you were connected. So it's not just riders that gets faster workers out in the open like something like this. Landowners would actually also get the same 6-turn worker out in the open. Both riders and landowners will give you a faster worker out in the open. It's such a versatile family. I think landowners, one of the reasons why I like them is I don't ever really feel the need to overly maximize in one direction. So like, rather than putting every source of training in my champion seat to create a super seat, I like to diversify and do like high levels of training in a second seat, and I'd rather have 2 champion seats than just 1 mega seat, if that makes sense, right? So with that level of thinking that occupies my play style, the reason why the landowners is one of my favorite family is because they are literally, of all the families in the game, the jack of all trades. They can effectively do anything. If you need them to be a military family, it takes no time at all for them to build a couple of miners, or if you settle them on iron, or if maybe, let's say you settle them here, and there were iron right over here, well, the landowner's seat can buy the tiles to get you the iron quicker, build the mine, and then build the miner quicker than you would ever be able to get there if it were a champion seat or a traditional military city. So they're just so versatile. You can have them flex into any role you want. We've already seen in this tournament, and I suspect we'll see it again, the way that with groves and gardeners, they can become a ferocious science family. So they're just so flexible. They can do any role that you really want them to do in the game. And I truly do believe that. And that's one of the reasons I like them, because it basically means no location is a bad landowner's location. Excuse me. And even things like culture. If you have a bunch of salt mines, right, you could do artisans for the culture boost, or you could do landowners and just put a bunch of miners in it, and now you have a culture hub and a military hub. There are definitely some spawns that can give you something like 3 salt or 2 salt. Then you get the luxury on top of it, which is more culture. But traditionally, I feel like no players aren't usually in a rush to improve salt, right? Because, I mean, there are other things you could be doing. But when it only takes 3 or 4 turns out of your build queue, it becomes significantly more appealing, and now you have that benefit of the extra culture, the training, and the luxury, and things like that. So that's the other thing I like about the family, to end that thought, is that they open up avenues and strategies that you do not normally evaluate in a traditional sense. Like, no one's going to look at salt and be like, oh, I'm going to go improve that salt. But with landowners, you can be like, hey, well, you know what? I have more training and culture. Why not? That is a good point. You are on a lack for generals. If you're building too many units from landowner cities, that's fair enough. Let's take a look at the generals in Rome at the moment as an example. Yep, so for example, there are no current landowner generals at all. A very valid point. I would never use them exclusively as the military city, or military family rather, but I mean, ultimately, eventually, I just build military units from every single city anyway. So your best troops, your generals and whatnot, they're obviously going to come from your champion city. That's where you're going to put your promoted units, your generals on. But your cannon fodder, the people that you're going to send to die, are from the landowner's family. Which I'm sure they would be thrilled to hear that. All right, back over to Carthage. One thing that's always funny about observing these wider maps is that it is a little bit of a chore to get to each side. I should get in the habit of just clicking this lower map here. All right, politics is still, decent in Rome. We have gotten our pagan religion up. We put it in the Roman capital. Don't hate that. So this is another decent example. Instinct normally drives us to send it to something like the state seat, because civics is always good in the state seat. But I actually like having the 2 civics in the military seat, because at some point we're going to want to build officers anyway, right? And unless we get something like a judge, well, 2 civics is a turn off of your officers, and that to me is worth it. So I actually like setting my pagan faith inside my military city pretty often. Something I definitely don't. I'm definitely not shy about doing that. All right, let's see what Carthage is up to these days. Okay, we're getting a Shrine of Melkart. Now, we built along here to get these dyes. And now this is more stacking. We have 3 workers on the spot. See, this seems like a waste. This seems like a waste. What happened? Did we build urban first? That might have been a mistake. I don't understand what happened here. Because there's 3... Well, yeah, no, actually. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really feeling the stacking, I'm going to be honest. It feels like too much. Because it's like, how quickly do we need this shrine? Because instead, we could just get the shrine and we could have 2 farms, right? Not that we need the farm specifically, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, mines or literally just anything else. I'm not a fan of stacking too much at the start of the game. I think I ultimately do think it's a waste. Stacking is for things like wonders, or, if you want to do a 1-turn garrison, something like that, fine. Or if you're really trying to race for Zoroastrian, timing, so fine. Getting your shrines out, fine. But, I mean, now we're just doing it on another shrine when we have Zoroastrian. There's no way we're going to speed this up further, right? We are either going to get it or we won't. And, of course, we as the observer know that we're going to get it. But yeah, so that seems like a little bit... Do we have stone cutting yet? No. What did we go for tech here? We had administration first. Okay, that's interesting. I don't hate that. We're also doing rhetoric. Okay, so I suspect Off of these two grabs, I suspect we'll probably see an early machinery push. Don't hate it. An early machinery push will set us up with some onagers that can start crawling across the map pretty quickly. Otherwise, I mean, exploration is pretty solid on a coastal rain basin map. You can get up this river easily. You can get down this river easily. And of course, you can come over along here. If he ever gets colonies, he can use his scout to buy tiles and bridge this gap. Give himself nice coastal movement. He's out and about with his scouts. Clearing. Getting some good vision. And yeah, honestly, no progress on future camps. So this isn't a rapid clear style on Babylon. And again, I think one of the drawbacks, I think one of the things that is preventing this from happening is the fact that he's kind of spending way too many orders on these worker turns. He has a settler coming out with a place to go, but he doesn't have a site cleared yet. And if we kick on over back to Rome here, center, south. Okay. Yeah, if we kick on back to Rome here, Rome has settled a third city. So they're one up on cities in terms of Carthage, and they have 2 sites cleared with two settlers on the way. So in the time, this settler's finished, so this will be probably settled in 1 or 2 turns. Depends on if he force marches or not. I don't think he can get there with a force march, so we're going to call it 2 turns. So in 2 turns, we'll have a third city in Carthage. And then in approximately, we'll call this 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7. In 7 turns, give or take, we will have 2 more cities in Rome. Tripazi in chat, you are saying 1207, oh my god, 7. I don't know what that means. So if you'd care to clarify, I'd appreciate that, because otherwise I don't know what you're saying oh my god about. All right, back over to the Carthaginian builder. Yeah. I mean, I should have been over here, but I don't even know what he just did on this turn, because he moved a scout, he moved a settler once, or 3 times, and I think that was his turn. He's bringing another settler in, and really needs to consolidate some units and start clearing. Making 355 gold per turn, though, so that's solid. Definitely won't cause an issue for his clearing. He could just literally just buy a handful of tribes and just start attacking the camp. Which is what Carthage tends to do. Right, back over to Rome. Oh, okay. So let's look at the stats. We have 4 wisdom and 2 discipline on the Roman tactician. But on our builder, we have 1 wisdom, 2 courage from the bold. We started with bold, and we have 7 discipline. Oh, we also got Sword of the Gods. That's always fun. I don't really do a good job of tracking events too much in the game, so I apologize for that. Yeah, so 7 discipline. Well, I suspect now that Humble was another one, right? We started with 3, Humble was another one, that gives us 4, and now that we have 3 strengths already, any potential event outcomes that would award a trait that gives us something like, discipline, or other stuff, will have the fallback that could give us more discipline. And then, of course, we've leveled up once already. Nice to see some mines already built over here. So this is an interesting difference. Again, with the money, it doesn't really matter too much early on, but we have some positive income across all our resources, just a little bit, right? And over here, we don't have any iron coming in. We haven't built any mines. We obviously don't have stonecutter, which is fine. But of course, we have a massive stockpile of gold coming in, and that's going to be 224 of that is coming from the discipline on the builder. So definitely a strong contribution there from having high stats for sure. I think my mic is slowly slipping off of its mount. I can't quite tell, but I feel like it's moved half an inch closer to me in the last 25 minutes. So if my mic suddenly drops, I apologize. Because I can't really tell if that's actually happening or not. I think maybe I'll adjust that right now. All right, we have a nice buildup of units here. This is one of the reasons why, by the way, just to talk about the hero, I love the hero. I think it's a fantastic starting archetype. One of the reasons why I love it is because, first of all, your starting warrior would be healed, right? But then let's take a look at this fella, right? Of course, we have a general on here, so isn't the most optimal if we already put a general on there. But let's say this guy didn't have a general, and my hero was right here. One of my favorite things to do is after you heal up this unit, just put your leader on this unit. Like, move this guy forward with all the correct amount of movement, right? Get into a position to attack. Move him first. And then reassign the ruler back here and take a whack at the camp with the guy you just moved. Because the only thing that prevents you from moving a general around is if you attack with the unit. Or, do an ability. So nothing stops you. And then one thing I'll do too, right? So this guy just came from the back line. There's another way you could do it is, let's say this guy was ready to go in. Move this guy up. Move this guy up with the hero. Take the hero general, put him on this guy when he was back here. Attack, and then on the next turn, the hero is going to get all that bonus movement. And you can do this with a tactician too. I do this with ruler generals all the time. Is if I'm just in a holding pattern where I'm getting ready to clear the next camp, and I have so this is a great example. This warrior coming out, no reason. If I'm just pausing here for a second, in my opinion, there's no reason not to spend 100 training to put your ruler on this hero. On this warrior, and get the bonus movement to get him to the front line quicker. Why not? What are you going to, if you're just hanging out anyway, there's no reason not to do it. And that's one thing I have not personally seen happen too much in the tournament. That level of micro seems to be a little bit more of a me thing. But yeah, and again, that doesn't mean I do it all the time, but it's certainly a nice trick to have in your back pocket. And it's a nice way to get units to a front line, especially if you're trying to rush somebody. Kind of like move your warrior all the way to the front, park him in the woods, and then put your hero back on another warrior and move him all the way to the front, park on the woods. And then in the time that this hero gets up here, by the time this warrior gets up here, another warrior will be finished. So you just spend another 100 training to go. So it's basically the point is it's more efficient than spending the time to force march, because you move a greater distance. Because even if you add in force march into that, the ruler bonus, the ruler movement bonus, will still make you move further. So, and that, by the way, the last cap off on that. Can I hop back over to the Rome? Yes, look, the last thing about that, we're making 42 training per turn. If we were hero right now, this would be about 100 or maybe more-ish per turn. So that's the other thing that makes that cycling of the unit, moving around and healing up multiple different units, extra useful for the hero, because you can afford to do it. I mean, and you also get training per kill. So you're going to have the training to swap back and forth between units and keep the bulk of your clearing force healed at all times. Very, very useful ability. I don't think people realize that they can just move. Weirdly enough, I don't think people realize that they can just move their ruler around and heal everything. It just takes a little bit more time to do it that way. But there's no, you don't have to keep the ruler stuck on one unit the entire time. And it's also a good way to spread promotions across multiple units as well, because once you get, a unit decently promoted, so this gun has a couple promotions already, right? It's going to take more XP to get this another promotion. So by swapping your ruler to this guy, you're going to be always prioritizing kills on your ruler anyway, right? So that's going to help feed this guy extra XP rather than having the decision, am I feeding my ruler XP or do I want to put XP on my new units? No, do both. Just move him here and then start killing with this shit. Sorry, forgive me the rant. But that's my thoughts on that. And there you go. Still greed here. More workers. Oh, wow. Still stacking, too. We chose to stack all of that. I mean, I get it. I do get it, Hazard, but I kind of hate it. I'm not going to lie. I kind of hate it. Although, here's another fun tip for builders out there. We're currently at... I mean, we don't need this. Never mind. This is 4 turns to level up, so don't actually take this in this particular situation. But just as an example, we're at 43 culture per turn for 100. We have 3 builders. 3 workers right here. Again, you do not need to do this if your culture rate is going to get you to developed in 4 turns. But let's say your culture rate sucked here, right? But you're still at 40. What you could do is you could build urban here, build urban here, and build urban here. By doing that, you would delete this and get yourself 100 culture. So you can use build urban to instantly level up a city's culture if you're comfortable deleting their groves from the game forever. So that's always a fun little trick you can do with a builder. We're here for the rants. Excellent. Glad to hear it. Thanks, guys. Yeah, well, forgive me, but I'm gonna indulge the algorithm gods. But on that note, if you do like what you see, what you hear, and enjoy the content, please give a like, subscribe, leave a comment. It helps boost not just me. It's not about my page or my content. It's also about getting more love and attention for this game that we all love, you know? There's a lot of community activity right now. There's a lot of people, I think, out there looking for a fun strategy game experience. And I think the more we talk about how amazing Old World is, and the more we get it showing up in people's feeds or suggested things. What I need to start doing is get better at tagging these videos. I don't put any tags in my videos, and I need to do that. But anyway, back to this game, turn 19 now. Forestry in 3 turns, really, really great position. We're coming up with a settler here, landowner settler. I'd like to see maybe... How would I do this? I would put champions here. We have horse, we have camel. So I'm thinking more military site right here. And then I move this guy up. So since I actually have another settler coming, I probably wouldn't even settle this site. I'd probably just keep him moving him and maybe delay a turn or 2. Get myself the extra citizen. Although there are horses here, but I'm thinking about the groves too. I definitely want this site to be a landowner location. These groves are closer. We could make it from this region. But I'm thinking champs down here. There's more sites to clear that we can put champs on for defensive reasons if you're feeling that sort of thing. So champs could go here, champs could go there. Again, I don't really care too much about frontlining champions. The thing I would care more about frontlining champions is the friendly territory combat boost. I care more about that than I do the actual city defense bonus. All right, let's see if Carthage is making any progress towards clearing. Doesn't look like it. We can get another law. Ooh, epics would be good opinion. But I don't think we want epics in this situation. We definitely want exploration for that better map movement. And there it is, exploration. Also, we'll probably see some... What's our dynasty looking like? We have some children. Hello, boys. Prince Otter. Love that. And yeah, we'll probably see some people go on some exploration stuff. Haven't seen enough of that in the game, I don't think. But again, I don't really track the events all that well, so that's probably my biggest weakness as a host. Some of the other casters are way better at tracking the events than I am. I tend to be looking on the map and seeing what's happening. Decent opinion. With our tribes as Carthage, though. So, not too bad. Let's take a look at some more stats, where we're at now. So, 2 workers built in Carthage, no workers built yet in Rome. 3 units built in Rome, which is nice to see, because if we look at mercenary tribes, we have 5 tribes. So, 3 regular units built to 5 tribes. That's a pretty good ratio, honestly. I feel like I don't think Rome is really under threat in this particular matchup at this stage in the game. They have 2 settlers coming out, a worker finally coming out. So I really like the build queues here. We did military unit first. We did another military unit from the champ seat, really responding well enough to that Carthage threat. If you see Carthage as similar and you have a champs nation, you're fine. Especially at this stage in the game. Maybe not later on when there's more units, but more often than not, you're probably fine since your units are just ultimately going to be stronger against what should be the bulk of their tribal units. Which is another reason why I myself, if I play Carthage, I do not slack off on building military units. I still build a military unit, typically first in my second city, even if I'm playing Carthage, because I don't want a trigger-happy Rome or Axum or Assyria coming down my throat when all I have is 4 strength, 5 strength tribal units. The last thing that you want to see as Carthage is getting attacked when 5 out of 6 of your military units are all tribal units, and half of those units are barbarians. So I pretty religiously stick to the build a military unit first rule in the multiplayer matchup. Not always, but it just seems like the safest thing to do. And I would rather be a little behind my opponent's momentum than be dead. Because I can't win the game if I'm dead. But I can potentially win the game if I fall behind. Building a Shrine of Ceres up here. Did we get our religion? Yes, we did get Zoroastrianism. It landed in Sulci. That's nice. Always love to have a religion landing in the trader seat, especially when we still haven't built our shopkeeper yet. That's going to give us a 7-turn shopkeeper. And interesting. This is a good governor, actually. Intelligent, some civics, some training. And this is the type of thing that I was thinking about. I was talking about too with Carthage's ability to get civics in every city. You effectively have a flex faction, right? Because let's think about Rome. Rome gets 2 training in every city, right? Let's think about Babylon. Babylon gets 1 science in every city, right? What about the Hittites? The Hittites get 2 2 civics in every city, right? Well, Carthage can plop down a city. And every time they plop down a city, they can click this button and say, well, what benefits do I have at my disposal? And since they get 200 frickin' civics when they settle a city, if they want, they don't have to, but if they want, they could say, sure, I'll take 2 training, 1.5 science, and 1.6 civics in this city. This is Rome, Babylon, and Hittites immediately. And we watched him assign this governor pretty much the same turn that he settled the city. So let's look over here. What can we do here? Okay? We can do Hittites. You want a Hittites bonus in the city? Why? Fine. Why not? Just click it. You get the 200 civics anyway. Who cares? So basically, Carthage, in addition to all their other nonsense, can flex every bonus they want. What about this? 3.5 science 2? Sure. Cool. Take it if you want. Want a builder? This our ruler, builder in every city. Anytime you settle, build a builder. Why not? Ridiculous. 200 civics per city is ridiculous, and I'll never not say it. They basically get a governor in every city, if they want it. Again, not saying that's the correct use. They could, adopt laws, but, we already have 2 laws, and we still have 400 civics because of the statesmen, so fine. Now we're clearing, though. Interesting. We're skipping this site. This is going to be annoying. Not too bad, because I don't think they'll wander too far, but it's always annoying, especially in this map type. Like, if you have a square map, you can maybe ignore the northern section. Maybe you just don't come back here. Fine, who cares? Whatever. Or maybe you never go in the south. Whatever. But on the ultra-wide is especially annoying because all the sites are basically right on top of each other, and there's only one direction to go. So leaving a site hanging like this is especially shitty in an ultra-wide map. Thanks again to everybody with us live today, listening in, tuning in, joining the conversation. My mic really is gravitating towards me. moved another half inch. That's so funny. I don't know how to fix that right now. It's a mounted mic, so I don't know what to do. Okay, it doesn't matter. It won't be an issue. Yeah, if you're joining me live, I do appreciate you being here. It's always nice to sit back and watch some old world during the day, or on your car ride, or while you're allegedly working. So this is something I don't like too, and this is the other thing that gets me back to talking about a hero, right? This tactician has been sitting here forever. So if this were a hero who'd be healed up and clearing, he's probably short on orders, but so that's another thing that we're waiting probably to heal up too. So I think it's very easy to look at the tactician and think, wow, their clear speed is so good because of that stun, and it's true, right? But actually, if you run a one-to-one comparison about clearing the initial site, a tactician can clear it without getting hurt, right? And a hero will clear it with getting hurt. But then the turn after you clear it with a hero, if you heal the hero, you will have 19 HP. So really, the only difference in clearing that very first site is the difference of 1 health. And you would think that that gives an edge to the tactician, except a tactician only does 5 damage to a camp, while a hero does 7. So a hero would clear the first camp in 3 hits, while a tactician takes 4. So the only way that they are even completely is if the tactician is able to get to the first campsite within their very first move. Then they will both clear it. The hero will clear it in 3 turns, spend 1 turn healing, coming up to 9 HP. And the tactician will clear it in 4 turns and end up at 20 HP. So no, I'm going to get in a big fight with everybody in chat right now. There's no such thing as paying back the yield it takes to spend to put a governor in a city. There's no such thing as paying it back. There's no such thing as breaking even, and I'm going to give you a great example as to why. Let's say, as a hypothetical in this particular game, both of our players were competing for Zoroastrianism, and both of our players were competing completely evenly, right? Which means, what I'm saying is one built a shrine, the other built a shrine. They both this argument. Both players were going to finish their second acolyte on the exact same turn. This is why that silly argument of, oh, if you put this guy in the city, it's going to take 98 turns to pay back, is foolish. Because here's what I gain from putting this guy in the city. I spend 100 civics, I put him in the city, and guess what happens? I build my second acolyte 1 turn quicker than you, and I get Zoroastrianism. And that's just one example. So the payback isn't 2 civics versus 100 civics. It's what you're gaining. Every single thing in this game comes down to what turn you finish the thing. Your military unit, what turn you settled something, what turn you built an apprentice. Every single thing is turn time. Trading 100 civics now for 2 turns off of something, 5 turns off of something across the life of the game is invaluable. It is not about spending 100 civics and having it take 98 turns or whatever, 50 turns for 2 civics to pay itself back. It's not paying itself back. That's not what you're paying for. I've seen that's the same logic about why forums suck. Forums do not suck. They're niche. They're difficult to get a handle on. Yes, they do not suck because it's not about paying the forum back. It's about what you can shave off. The most valuable... Okay. Sorry, I'm extra ranty today for some reason. But the last thing I'm going to say about this is one thing. Orders are not the most valuable resource in this game. Neither is science. The most valuable resource in this entire game is time. Anything that saves you time on anything. So it can be orders, it can be science, it can be civics, whatever it is. Growth, right? Time is the most valuable resource in this game. If you do anything quicker, you will be speeding up the pace and tempo of your entire game. A quicker warrior, a quicker worker, a quicker settler, a quicker tech. One turn becomes 10 turns. Doesn't matter what it is. And that is why something like Carthage just being able to get a governor, or yes, the Hittites, 2 civics in every city is massive. It's huge. It's one of my favorite bonuses in the entire game. The Hittite, that's almost entirely why the Hittite faction is my favorite faction in the game. You get 2 civics for every city. That's insane. Because think of the amount of turns you save in your build queue by getting 1 turn off of nearly every single specialist you ever build. And again, bringing us back to landowners, that's why landowners is one of my favorite families in the game, because it saves you time. Time on your worker, time on your settler, time on any specialist you build that's rural. Time is the most valuable resource in this game. Both players getting labor force at the same time. Carthage is going to be done in 2 turns. Rome is done in 4, but I actually think Rome should have more technology. It looks like we're doing a 4-law push, is going to be my guess. We're doing labor force into sovereignty. We will have a developing culture. We do have developing culture here. What we need is elephants. So we'll probably just do the import in the capital, and we're going to have to... Oh, so this would be fun. This would be fun. I would really like to see the builder flex their ability here. So you settle this city, grab these elephants. Do we have a settler out? Yes, can we? Perfect. Oh, this is perfect. So this is what I want to see. This is the level of micro I want to see. We're so close to 4 laws. We're so close to 4 laws. So what we do is this. We settle the city, grab this elephant. And then we take workers and we build an urban here, 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 and here. That gets us 50 culture. Then we build an urban here, here, and here. That gets us 100 culture. So we are instantly developed in just a matter of turns after settling the city. We can then use our builder to stack a garrison, stack a stronghold, and then push out our elephant unique unit from a freshly settled city. That's how you do it. Build urban is such another busted ability, by the way. There's so many different uses for it. Hazard seems to be playing conservatively. It's true. We're going Zoro now. Okay. He just seems to be playing conservative. We have 5 cities on the Roman Empire. Anarkos is off to a swimming start, building workers now. Worker. We're very well connected. This is another nice thing. So let's go back to the fact that we have a 5-turn worker here compared to over here what it would be an 8-turn worker. So that's another thing that we're talking about in terms of time. A connected landowner city saves you 3 turns off of your opening worker. That is insanely good compared to... Let's keep a track on once this guy settles, because I'm pretty sure a builder does a 4-turn worker out in the open. So... it's crazy. It's crazy. Connected landowner cities are practically like having a builder on the throne. Not quite as good, of course, naturally. And of course, if you had a builder in addition to that, that would be crazy as well. But they're similar. It's similar. And that's another reason why I like to stack freedom, too. Stack freedom on top of that. And then, yeah, you effectively have a builder on the throne, just barely. And that allows you to run something like a hero, or a scholar, or schemer. Schemer is another good example, because you get that good builder output on your workers due to your family choice. God, I love landowners. Sorry. I just love them. 6-turn scout. Not really feeling like we need this. Did we lose a scout? It looks like we lost a scout. Okay. Still don't like it. We could get another worker. We could get a forum. Well, so the other thing too about building forums and projects in general, the thing that I look about is how many years it takes, not how much I'm investing. If I can build a forum in 2 turns, that to me is always worth it. Pretty much. It depends on, not always, forgive me, not always worth it, but it depends on what I'm doing with the city. Or like in this place where I know I'm going to be building specialists, I know I'm going to be running decrees, I'd probably just pop in the 4-turn forum right now as well. Because going back to the idea that my belief, right, that you don't, there's no such thing as paying something back. Technically, since this is 40 civics, but you get back 20 on completion, technically in terms of global, and all yields funnel into the global pool anyway, right? Unless you're building locally, then technically speaking, in terms of global yield, all forum projects only cost 20 civics, which to me is a bargain. So the only thing you really worry about after that, in terms of the global output, is how much time you're wasting in the build queue. So if you can get a 2 or 3 turn forum, in my opinion, that's just fantastic. Because those 2 or 3 turns can then compound across the rest of the game. It's not about how many civics you're getting back. It's about how many turns did those 3 turns that you just spent on the forum, how many turns are they going to shave off of everything else you build in the rest of that city? And if the answer is more than 3, then the forum is worth it. Oof, man, I am on fire today. I'm just like, I'm amped. I don't know what it is. It's a Tuesday morning. I had the day off. I'm watching Old World. I got friends in chat with me. Over 20 of you here. If you're watching on YouTube, I love that you're here too. Hazard, if you're checking this out after the fact, I know you're excited about my commentary. Very, very happy to have you here as well. Are we muted? No, we're not. Cool. I even did that correct this time. Yeah, we're on fire. We're moving today. A little extra rambly, but, you know, hopefully maybe I can snipe some of this information to make a tournament teaching video with all the clips of myself and Alcaris and Kitten going on one of our rants about knowledge about the game. Yeah, something. So this is another thing about the orders, right? We're double stacking everything. Oh boy, guys, I have to say I really hate this. You're paying twice as many orders to move your workers around. Think of that. It's not just one worker moving and starting, it's a second worker after. So I guess that's 50%. It's just not worth it. And instead of doing that, we could be force marching a settler somewhere. You know, I'm really fond of force marching because, again, I'm talking about that time saving, right? Yeah, we're saving time on an improvement, but I would much rather save time on a build queue, right? Get this out here, get it online, get it building another worker. So we're being oriented around time here as Hazard, but I think we're focusing on the wrong thing because build queues are important. All right, hold on. I need to take a second and fix my mic. It's literally in my mustache now. Hold on, I'm going to mute this. Hold on. All right, we are back, and hopefully that will hold for now. So, and this is what I like to see. So now what we have is we have a nice buildup of units out in the front line. What did we do? We focus, and this is why I think building military first is actually the smarter thing to do, because what it allowed you to do is you settle a city, you built a military unit. You also built another quick military unit from your champ city, and then you started gradually clearing in one direction, which is very possible in an ultra wide, right? There's only one direction to go in. So all your military is now moving forward, and now they're bunched up in your most latest settled city, which is, again, in fact, because it's a champion city, a military city, it's built. Oh, do we have war? Oh, we put a governor in there. Really love to see that. We're building 5-turn warriors. So we're building our warriors out in the front, and we have more units. Great. What does this now enable us to do safely? It enables us, combined with decent scouting, seeing where our opponent is, making some assumptions about what they're doing. Of course, those assumptions can be wrong, but it enables us to now kick into greed mode. Now we can build workers. Now we can build settlers. Now we can build specialists if we want. We already built one in the city. So yeah, there's kind of like a cascading effect, I think, with your build queues, where it's like, it sucks to. I know everybody's. There's so many people who are fixated on the worker first mentality, and I get it. But I think you just set yourself up for more success if you just bring a few more military units into the game. Because as I said, you can't really, like, falling behind in a little momentum will suck, but getting killed early sucks even more. Getting overwhelmed by your opponent. The worst possible time is to say, oh shit, I should build units, is when you see your opponent's army on the way toward you. You want to already have build units, because then, that way, if you do have to pivot into building more units, you at least have some level of an army to protect you. But I have seen in this tournament a couple of times where players are really light on military, and then they start, all of their build queues shift to building military units when they're under attack. That is the wrong time to build an army. Getting navigation now as the Carthaginians. That will be our 4th law. And we should have the civics to do it. Yeah, let's see what they're going to do here. We're going free archer. Ooh, hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it. Anarkos, no. You don't have the science rate for that, buddy. Well, maybe you do, but boy, who wouldn't want? It's 12 turns, as pointed out. We get turn 37 land consolidation. Do we still have a shrine left? We do. You pop a Shrine of Verona here, or maybe a Shrine of Verona here, and then a hamlet. Oh yeah, that's what we do. Get that culture. So you Shrine of Verona here, delete this, get the culture in the city, then a hamlet here, grab the camels. Oh, we got rebels. Is that a rebellion? Let's take a look. Oh, we got a rebellion. Okay, this is fine. Just a full rebellion. Although this sucks that we don't have a military unit back here. How are we going to handle that? Okay, we can get back. That blows, though. Probably send the tactician back. So full rebellion on turn 25, that's fine. The full rebellions aren't as bad as they seem. It's negative 400 opinion, but it decays over 5 years. So this ship will be righted very quickly. We can kill everything up front. Interesting, we're sending the hero back. I probably would have just sent the ruler, because the ruler will come right back. And as a tactician, you can stun one, and then the other one will likely attack you. This is another thing I don't quite like. Generally, do we have kill potential here? We do. Oh, no, we don't. Yeah. See, that's the other thing. We actually would have killed one of these guys if we used the hero instead. And sent every unit here except the tactician, if they all attacked one unit, would kill a unit. And then the tactician could head home. And the tactician actually gets home faster, so that's another reason why. But, this is the type of little critique that's like, that's just nitpicking at this point. I mean, I can't say that I play my games perfectly. I am always making mistakes. There's pressure. There's time pressure. Although our players are playing without a timer in this match. Both players agreed to play without a timer, so that's always fun. Yeah, but I don't like the free archer here. I would love to see this swap to land consolidation. I don't think the rebellion will be too bad. It'll be over shortly. 4 units. Although, because of the opinion hit, a couple more could spawn. In fairness. A couple more could spawn. Shrine of Saul right here. Love this. This is great. This is more about what I'm talking about in terms of spreading your military advantage around. Get all these woods, and now that turns this little landowner's spot into a little bit of a military hub. Really great. Oh, and we did spawn... Nope. Sorry, this was one of the original guys. Okay. All right, so a rebellion in Rome. And in just 5 turns, in just 4 turns, we will begin to see the first of our raids as well, which is another nice thing about having all of your units on the front line. Because once the Gauls and the Vandals decide to raid you, you'll be able to deal with that. Let's take a look at... Okay, so a worker is 3 turns. So landowners is not quite the same as a worker, in fairness. A little bit worse. Still, 5 turns. Basically, your thresholds for workers are either 8 turns, 6 turns, 5 turns, or 4 to 3 turns if you're a builder. So, anything that gets me down to 5 turns when I'm not running a builder, for example, is just solid. Ooh, we're getting some raids. All right, so this is what I'm thinking here. I'm thinking we have import gonna happen. We have import, we have 4 laws, although we don't yet have a garrison. It's always very easy. I really, really love the way unique units are handled in this game. I love that you need a different set of technologies. It's not just, oh, get this, military technology right here to get your special unit. I like that you need an assortment of different technologies. That's step 1. I like that you need particular culture thresholds in a city. That's step 2. And then I like you need a particular set of buildings as step 3. And if you don't check all of those boxes perfectly and in the right order and in perfect timing, well then what ends up happening is like you get your 4 laws and you go, shit, I don't have the culture. Or you get your 4 laws and you have your culture and you go, shit, I forgot to build a garrison. And it's a really fun mini game to get that unique unit online. I'm a big fan of how Mohawk does that. Yeah, thank you, Jams. That's kind of you. You're a good guy. Old World University would be great. My issue is I have no organizational skills. Very hard for me to sit down and write a guide. Very hard for me to sit down and make an instructional video. That video on rushing took me 3 entire, nearly full days of my free time just to make that one video. And that was just on one thing, right? That was literally just on rushing, and it was an overview. So trying to find a way of being all like, well, here's like 20 tips that might not immediately come to mind to the average player. So things like culture bulldozing, things like the hero swap that I mentioned in this one. They're all so disconnected and unrelated that it's just so difficult for me to even come up with a way to even think of a list to create in order to discuss and like make a video on or whatever. Basically, I disseminate knowledge organically. If someone asking questions in Discord is the best way. I end up repeating myself a lot, which is fine, but that's why most of the time I'm always answering questions in Discord, because the prompt of the question, or in this case, observing people, right? The prompt of seeing something happen is what makes me think of the mechanic that's not being used or addressed, or that somebody's overlooking or whatever. But I don't think of it on my own naturally. And in fairness, when it comes to making my own mistakes in games, sometimes I miss stuff all the time. I just fought an entire battle in my last game that went horribly. And a decent part of why was because I completely forgot to spam decree the entire time. And I had a really nice civic seat that could spam decree. So I could have had an order advantage, and I just didn't use it because I forgot. So very easy to forget stuff when you're playing. Love this worker chain, though. I've been talking about worker chains for a long, long time. I think it's a little bit overkill since we have traded workers, because you can just do the worker. Also, the best and most efficient worker chain is only 3 workers long, because this is what we're dealing with. This worker in back can move up front, and then once this worker moves in back and builds the road, this one will move up front, and so on and so forth. And that has the exact same efficiency, even with 3 non-traded workers, that would have the exact same efficiency as a trader's worker. So really, if you just stick 2 or 3 traders workers next to each other and run this worker chain, as long as you have the orders for it, right? 3 traders workers could literally make a road from here, and they could do 1, 2, 3. Yeah, they could do like 9 roads, or maybe even more, to be honest. I forget. But yeah, so definitely like the worker chain. He could be doing a little bit better, but I still just love that he's doing it. This is definitely the right idea. Even if you do not have traders in your family, like I said, just to reiterate, just doing this, 1, 2, 3, is going to get you the most fastest and efficient road you can generate in the game, including if it were a traded worker. Because think about it, let's math this out with 1 traded worker. You'd spend 1 order and build. That's 2 orders. Another order and then build. That's 4 orders. Another order and then build, and then you would be done, right? So that's 6 orders total. Now let's look at this in the worker chain. 1, 2 to build. And this guy could move up. 1, 2 to build. And this guy could move up. 1, 2 to build. How many orders is that? 6. So 3 workers in a line has the exact same order efficiency and can build the 3 roads on the same turn as 1 traded worker. You still need more workers, so it's still less efficient on that front, but in terms of actually getting the road finished and going to where you need to go, 3 workers is what you want. 3 workers lined up in a row and just send them in one direction. And then, of course, the traders can still do that faster if you are stacking traders workers. We decided to stick to that archer as Rome, which is just a big bummer, man. But, you know what? Hold on a minute. I'm under the impression I would not be surprised if Anarkos opted to grab the free worker right now because of this nonsense that's happening in his capital. I don't know that I would do that personally, but I definitely understand the thinking if that's what motivated him to grab the archer, because it's going to give him another unit in his capital next turn, along with the warrior coming out and this warrior coming up from behind. So I can respect that if that's why he decided to grab the free archer, come to think of it. But what's really fun about this match is that with Hazard rushing 4 laws and Anarkos rushing land consolidation, do you know what this is going to be? Does everybody understand what's about to happen? This is going to be a battle of the Stompy Boys. The battle of the Stompy Boys, guys. The Roman elephant versus the Carthaginian elephant. Here we go. This is what exactly. Thank you. Keep doing it. No, you did it wrong. Oh, well, that's fine. It's because this guy was out of position. All right, get this guy up here, and then you'll be in the correct position. And that's the other thing. If you're doing your worker chain, you don't want to end up in this situation, right, where you grab here and you spend an extra order just to get to the road length. And then you're losing your efficiency if you do this, right? But where this guy, to just emphasize the point again, on the next turn, this guy can come right up here. You can always move 3 spaces ahead on a road. So you just move here, build, and then you would grab this worker, which should be there. You move there, build. Then you move there, build. You just keep going. And then the traders workers can just do it indefinitely because they're awesome. Yeah, but so that was a little bit of a mess up, but still love to see that we're seeing it. And also just love to see a heavy investment in roads in general, because I don't think, I think roads can be underappreciated a little bit in this game as well. I just instinctively tried to heal this unit. That's funny. More settlers coming up, but we have nothing more clearing yet. We are buying more tribes. We should be stronger. Yep, we're stronger than the Romans now. So we getting more warriors. Would like to see. What I really want to see. So the archer I like, but this is. Are we doing it? No. Yeah, we're doing it. I'm not gonna lie, guys. These days, when I start with a champions nation that has ironworking, so we're talking Greece or Rome or, well, yep, no, Greece or Rome. Honestly, trapping tends to be my first tech because it is the worst thing in the world to end up in a conflict on turn 30 or 35 or 40 and then realize, oh, hey, shit, you know what I've forgotten to do in the last 40 turns? I forgot to give me myself some slingers. Worst feeling in the world. I've literally lost games because it's fucking, oh, forgive me, but it's turn 40 and I'm in a fight with somebody and I don't have a single slinger on the map. So I tend to solve that by I don't care. Greece and Rome both start with stone cutting anyway, so you can afford the slingers. Yes, you delay divination, which isn't ideal, but whatever. I just grab trapping right away. I don't care. Yeah, I feel like it's so essential. You really don't want to be fighting a bunch of slingers with only warriors. It's a freaking nightmare. It's such a nightmare. But hey, having this archer is not bad. So that'll help. Tactician on an archer will definitely be nice if we stay alive for much longer. We have Besieger and Strict. Ooh, Strict is nice when you have a Champions Nation. That's cool. A little bit of extra XP coming out of our warriors. And we still have Sword of the Gods. Did we take our guy out of the city yet? No, he's still building in the city. Yes. So the tournament rules are flexible. Question in the chat mentioned the term timer. The tournament rules are flexible as long as both opponents agree to any changes in the format. And both players are fine playing without a timer. We might mandate that a little bit closer to the finals, but I actually think the finalists are probably going to play with timers anyway because most of the players seem to be enjoying the added complexity of the time pressure. But technically, since deviations from the tournament rules are allowed as long as both players agree, nothing would prevent players from playing without a timer. And sometimes you don't need to. When Anarkos and I play, we never play without a timer, and our games never last more than 2 or 3 hours because we both play very fast and we both know when a game is over. That's another big thing for some of these tournament matches is sometimes it can be hard to really get a sense of when a game is actually over. Of course, it sucks to give up, right? You want to play till your last leg, but sometimes you lose a battle or you fall behind in tech or whatever else. It becomes pretty apparent pretty quickly that there's no coming back from a certain position. And sometimes that can be harder to identify if you're not overly familiar with the game. Oh, we're so close. Grab from the back. Grab from the back. You're almost there. Just grab from... Yes. Okay. All right. Now we're cooking. Now we are in the correct order. There we go. We've done it. See? This is what I want to see. Look, here we go. Here we go. This is exactly the order you want to do this. Fantastic. Thank you so much. What the... Ah! I'm kidding. It's fine. It's fine. That's funny. Now, we made it to the river, so that's fine. But yeah, that's another thing I like to do. I like to pick a spot on the map. Capital is always a good one. Sometimes I might come down here a little bit, but the desert gets in the way, so that's probably a good one. But you pick a location, especially when you have this map set up, but it works pretty much on on any map. It works. You just pick a spot, you start your road, and you literally just build it straight in one direction. Build it straight in one direction. Just keep going, keep going. And then what you can do, because what I like to do here, right? In fact, I will love Hazard if he actually does this, because look at where this road is. It's in exact correct position. I would not be surprised if rather than seeing roads down this way, if we go road here, right? Or maybe he roads here. So basically what I do is kind of make it like an arrow. I draw my road directly across the map, And then as I pass cities, rather than making myself go towards a city, come down here, right? I keep going, and as I go past cities, I have the roads go forward. Because I'm operating under the assumption that hopefully I won't actually need to reinforce my cities. I just need to reinforce my front line because I am the aggressor and not retreating and ideally winning and not losing and yada, yada, yada. We can get slavery or freedom as the Carthaginians. Probably saving that 3 turns for serfdom, though. Going to want those orders. And we have 5 turns on navigation, so only a little bit behind on these 2 law tempos. We just got labor force, we just got navigation, but we are up, I think, in overall tech because we have forestry, which is nice to see. And let's take a look. Did we adopt the law? We do have, so we have 2 laws to our opponents. 2, but they have access to 3. We have 5 cities. Nice. Yes, that was road rage. Literally. That's a good one. That's a good joke. That was literally road rage. I love it. Yeah. Forgive me for the road rage. Nice. And the great thing about having lumber mills early as Rome is you have that Shrine of Sol. So you get to make really, really good use of it. That's another thing. Like, it's very easy to think forestry isn't a nice tech to grab early until you do it once or twice and you realize how awesome it is to have lumber income by turn 30 in the game. It's just so fantastic to never have to worry about, because then you can free chop everything and don't have to think about later in the game being, oh, but where's my wood going to come from? Oh, your wood's going to come from your lumber mills. It's fine. And then, but yeah, with the Shrine of Sol, you get that extra training too, which is really solid. Okay, so we can probably, and how is the politics? And the ship has been righted in Rome. The rebellion only has 1 year left of it. So, but they're already in positive opinion. So yeah, this is why. Kudos to Anarkos though, because that is a event result. He had a choice to not take the rebellion. I think it would have resulted in a coup, or maybe a Grand Vizier. That's one of the 2 options. I can't remember which one that is. And he opted to say, screw it, I can deal with a 5-turn rebellion. Who cares? So kudos to him for weathering that. And he's bringing this warrior back. He's in a fine position. Yeah, it's not a really big deal, just a minor setback. I think sometimes players get a little too ruffled about some of the negative events in the game. Of course, they can be frustrating, and indeed, in a competitive setting, it can feel like it sets you back a little too hard. But, you know, I think that's part of the fun. I think weathering the unforeseen circumstances is just as much fun as just trying to play perfectly and outsmart your opponent. We have another disciple coming. We have a settler here. We have another. We're getting a master acolyte. Interesting. I suppose it's an extra order, but not really my first choice. Still like to see elephant supply in the capital. That's another step of this 4-law puzzle that we have to figure out, because Carthage does need the unique resource for their unit. Hey! Oh, Hazard, my boy. Fantastic. Fantastic. I'm so happy that there's a player in this tournament that's actually doing this, so I can talk about it. Great. Great. Big fan. Now, since there are effectively 2 fronts here, I don't hate the idea of also building a road down here, and then maybe, you know, this would make sense too, because maybe you have to come to, maybe the main battle is going to happen down here, but if the main battle happens across these hills, then now you have the same type of thing where it's all like, your road's coming up this way, once you start building stuff from this city. Sometimes people have noticed that I build multiple roads like this, you know, that are all weird shaped, and they wonder, you know, why I'm building more than one road. And I really try to maximize. So in fact, even rather than this, I might have done something like this, where you build a road here, 1, 2 along this river, maybe for siege, right? And come up this way, because the thing that I always think about is, where is the unit going to be? The unit's going to spawn here, and I try to even though this is still good movement coming up this way, right? I try to reduce the total number of tiles that the unit is going to travel, including if I'm on a road. So technically speaking, a road up here, even ignoring the river for a moment, a road up here would be more efficient than a road right here if we're trying to get over here. Tiny little shit like that can add up. I also like to build, sometimes I like to build 2 roads, because what can happen is, this is exact, I call them junctions. So you only get the full road bonus if you start on a road, right? So if both of these units are going to end their movement right here, well, what I like to do is once I spot this and realize my units are all going to get jammed up here, is I take a work and I build a road here and I build a road here. That way, I can stop here, I can stop here, and I can still be along a road on my next turn, and I can keep moving forward at the fastest possible rate. I call those little weird formations, I call them junctions. Or sometimes I just might make a road 2 tiles long if I'm really going to be using it a lot. I'll just do road, 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 road. I'm more likely to do the crazy road shenanigans if I have traders workers, because at that point, then you're losing a lot of efficiency if you're using regular workers. Nice, and we caught a scout out in the open as the Romans' first blood has been secured in our match with Hazard versus Anarkos. Anarkos stunned the scout and eliminated it with his hero. No vision, and let's not forget that we already had a scout from Carthage go down, and thankfully, we actually built one. So I kind of was a little critical about this earlier, being like, oh, I feel like you don't need the second scout. But now that he lost that scout, it's nice that he has one coming up, and he has another one coming along the way. So down 2 scouts with 1 more on the way, and he has no vision on his Roman friends. Raids coming in on their way to Rome, but Rome should make quick work of them. And Rome has decent eyes on the Carthaginians now, can see some units. Tactician vision really paying off. Would like to maybe see this scout come up into these woods and get a really nice bird's eye view of Cartena. Yep, very, very cool to see. Do we have any scout? We just have the 1 scout. Could probably afford to build another scout somewhere. Yay, there we go. Building a scout. Nice. Love to see that. It's just so satisfying to think, you know, when I say things like, oh, maybe this and maybe that, and then I just turn around and there they are. The players are doing it. What we really want to see, we have quarries here, right? But I'm going to say it. Flatland quarries, let's go. Fill this whole thing with quarry beds. I never waste time getting my quarries out. Although 41 stone is pretty solid. You did put a quarry there. Still. Probably just build more lumber mills. I guess 41 stone's fine. Could afford to build some more mines too. He's going to need a lot of iron in a little bit. Alright, we are upgrading units. Aha! Okay, I like this. He's going to do the same thing. He's going to come down this way, probably to here-ish, and then build a straight line across. Alright, that gives him 2 different paths to Cartena. Don't hate that. We'll also give him a path northwards once he sets a road up here. Don't hate that. Nice. He will be clearing this site soon enough. And this is really great for Rome. The power is back to similar between both factions. Despite all the current barbarian forces here, we're looking at a full force of 13 units in Carthage compared to 9 units in Rome. They are similar in power. That's good news for Rome for now. Take a look at that power score in general. Yep. So some of this probably came from... They built a warrior. I think 2 warriors and the free archer came out all on roughly the same turn. So that's probably what this spike is from. Orders. We do have a benefit here to the Carthaginians. Science. Still a lead for Rome. Let's see where we're at in terms of total. 783 science has been poured into the tech tree compared to 574 science for Carthage. So let's take a look at how many techs total. Rome has 6 techs compared to Carthage's 4, and they have a lot of the same similar techs. Both have labor force, both getting serfdom, things like that. Let's take a look at workers produced. Nice, really nice to see. So despite the builder on the throne, Rome now has 5 workers to Hazard's 6, but I'm pretty sure 2 of these workers were actually disciples. So I think Rome actually now has 5 workers, 5 more workers than... So we have 6 workers in Rome. Not 5 more, but let me take a look. Where are we? And we have 6 workers in Carthage. So both the same number of workers in each city. Really nice to see. Not each city, each nation. That's really nice. That's good. That's good for Rome. Building a worker here. Honestly, I don't think we need a worker here. I'd build a couple from the capital. Because the thing that you want to do, right? This is another nice thing about these long worker chains, right? You have really good growth here. What do you get? You get a 5-turn worker. Build a 5-turn worker in the capital. Maybe a second one. If nothing else, so combine him with one of these landowners' workers. Start building your road chain out to the open, right? Maybe bring a worker up here to do the same thing, right? So you bring a worker, and then at the end of it, what do you have? You have a champion's worker that came from the capital that is now in your champion's seat. And in the time it took you to do that, what did you do in this champion city out here? You built 2 or 3 more warriors rather than spending that time building a worker. And then the city gets a worker. So I like to cascade my workforce forward in a similar way that I can cascade my military, if I can. In fact, the more I talk about this type of shit, the more I realize that ultra-wide map ratio is just really efficient. Because only having one direction to go in is just awesome. There's always the question of top, bottom, or across when you play on a square map. Or, of course, if it's inland sea, the question of do I go up or do I go down around the sea? But coastal rain basin, ultra wide, you just literally just go left or right, and that's it. And that means everything. Your settlers, your workers, your units, everything can just slowly creep across the map towards your opponent. Really nice. All right, so we have navigation for the Carthaginians. We are clearing this camp down here. We have a settler in tow, ready to get it. We're also getting our road network set up here. Nice enough. And our options are stonecutting, husbandry, phalanx, or monasticism. I'll be curious what we go here. We're building another disciple. So I would not be surprised to see if monasticism gets grabbed early, but it could be high time we choose to grab stonecutting. We did grab serfdom before slavery, does make sense. Those orders are key. Nice surge of orders around turn 30 is really handy. Oh, and a beautiful political situation in Carthage. Our patriarch really likes us, both because we're builders, and everybody else is having a fun time too. We even have a hero leading a family, and these guys don't care. Does look like we've done a couple influence missions though, which is nice. Yep. Okay, he's interesting. He's influenced 2 people. Nice. Always like to see players using some of the less utilized tools in the game. Sometimes I see people play and they're not really running influence missions all that much. Not to say that you should be doing it all the time, but it can be something to overlook. I forget about it sometimes. Really hope to see some of this bulldozing. Probably not going to see it, considering we're going for a shrine here. I suspect we're doing that because we want the culture in this city. So that tells me he's not aware of the bulldozing trick. That's okay. Building another scout. 2 scouts. Interesting. Farmer disciple. So this is one of the examples, though. It's like, it's not as if Carthage necessarily needs any army, any more military. Certainly not for the defense. But you really just don't want to run into this situation. Let's take a look at this for real here. Yeah, this is the situation that you don't want to... Oh my god, I hate this. This is the exact situation that you do not want to be in Carthage. How many military units produced on the map? 6 to Rome, 0 for Carthage. So, Carthage has a military of 13 units. 12 of those 13 units are tribal units, right? If we hop over here and we look at the Roman military, Rome has a military of 9 units. 8 of those 9 units are all champion units. That is not the battle that you want to fight. Those 12 units could theoretically lose to 9 champion units. Now, if a bunch of them get upgraded to 6 strength units, that's going to change the math a little bit, so it's not like a guarantee, but you definitely don't want to have your entire military as Carthage be made up of tribes. You just don't want to do it. My general rule of thumb even applies to Carthage. Have one build queue, at least one build queue at all times building a military unit. If you can. Sometimes that's not going to happen, but generally as like an average, right? So maybe 2 cities built a military unit, and then on that next cycle, maybe they both build workers, and suddenly, sure, maybe you don't have a build queue building a military unit, but on average, right, try to be thinking you're building military regularly, even as Carthage, especially against a champions nation, because you don't want a 100% barbarian force going against a 100% champion force. Even if you have more units, it's going to be bad. And as soon as these guys become axes or spears, that's going to be even worse. Building a farmer, building a scout, building a worker, building a stonecutter, like this, really like this. Very easy way to increase your science and civic output. Normally, I don't, we talk about, oh, you don't really want to just build a random rural tiles. The 2 exceptions to that, generally, I think, are stonecutters. And if you're being very specific with a miner and for some reason you want that training, I'm still not a fan. Still not a fan of just the regular miner all that much. But if... This is one of the reasons why I think landowners is awesome. Again, if you're going to do it, the best nation to do it, the best family to do it with is the landowner, because it's only 3 turns. So you can just, do quarry, do stonecutter, 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 and that all of a sudden you have 3 extra civics in the city and 3 extra science, and it really didn't cost you too much. Let's look at this promotion. Ooh, Eagle Eye and Marksman. Man, if we could kill this guy, that would be awesome. Wide out in the open. So we have a bit of a slowdown from both players. I really think, which is unfortunate, because I think in Rome's position here, Rome could very easily... Our Gaulish wife is dead. We have a judge on the heir. 4-5-3 judge. Really like that. Great stats. Herbalist won't be bad defensively. Yeah, so I really think we could just clear the remainder of these sites. We do have a settler on standby, so hopefully we can get some more aggression from Anarkos in this next couple of turns. Any one of these could go down pretty easily. Funny you should say that, C-Sand. We actually had a conversation about that last week. That might happen. That might actually happen. What are we doing? Moving the archer up, fine, but kill and clear, buddy. He must be getting ready to clear. He wouldn't have brought the settler up here if he wasn't going to clear this site. He would have gone down to the Vandals. Oh, and another thing you could do, too. Even though you can't heal, you could always swap the general to somebody else if you wanted to. Like, you could swap the tactician here. Heal this guy, move this guy back and heal this guy up, and then both units would be ready to advance, and you'd have the stun on a different unit. I don't know. I cycle my units, or my leaders, around a little bit. Not a lot, but just a little bit. Although I guess he doesn't have the training for that, so ignore me, I guess. All right, this site is coming down this turn. You'll give us a new settler, which will catch us up to Rome. So a little bit of slowed tempo on the Roman side. That rebellion certainly slowed things down, but I feel like we probably could have secured the Vandal site and had this settler settled by now. Maybe. I don't know. Building another disciple here. I think he's making sure he can try and spread that. Manual spread is certainly the way you want to go if you're going to try and spread your religion around as best you can. No sense in waiting for it to happen randomly. It's just so much faster to just do it manually. Probably the idea behind the 2 growth shrines. He put Balhaman, he put a granary right away. Of course, there is the fair, but there isn't a shopkeeper in there yet, unfortunately. But he did give himself some growth, so he certainly seemed to have this idea in mind. All right, cool. I'll keep you in the loop, Jams. 100%. Yeah, I think we're going to get that started. Nice. And actually, on that note, if you are not with us live, there's over 20 people live streaming with us now, by the way. So again, thank you for being here. Most of my tournament matches these days have been seeing more than 20 people pop in at some point in the match. So I'm immensely grateful that you're along with me. You're here along with me in this journey. We're getting our elephant set up, and yeah, we'll be developing. So we didn't need to do any bulldozer. Wow, that's a mouthful. Bulldozer shenanigans to boost his culture. We should be getting it in good time. But yeah, I appreciate everybody along this journey with me. The tournament has been an immense blast to watch. Been great. I've been incredibly fortunate to be able to spectate and commentate a good majority of the games. And I just love this game so much. So I'm glad we all get to enjoy it. Of course, if you're watching after the fact on YouTube, please leave a comment. I try to get around to the comments and reply. Your presence and views are just appreciated as well as those who are live with us now. And hop on to the Mohawk YouTube channel and check out the playlist for all of the past tournament matches. There have been some amazing matches so far. And join the Discord. Say hello. All right, now come on, it's got to be land consolidation time now, right? It's got to be. We have serfdom. I get it. It's important to get your order economy early. Fine, that's fine. Maybe that honestly could have been the other reason why he chose the archer. Maybe he wanted land consolidation, but maybe he was like, no, I needed to get serfdom sooner rather than later. So his thinking here now is between 2 things. Yep, exactly. Do I want rhetoric? So add mana into rhetoric, or do I want land consolidation? Honestly, I think you want land consolidation because what is the 6th strength unit for the Carthaginians? It's an elephant. What is an elephant? It's a mounted unit. What counters mounted unit? The camel. The camel. Yes. Right. So you don't need to match law tempo with your opponent. If you have camels, just get camels. Camel it up. It's camel time. But we're gonna need to put these in here somewhere. So I say shrine here, hamlet there. Do we have any shrines left? Yeah, we still have Feronia. So this is one thing that I like. I like that Hazard has actually made you, like, the growth shrine isn't necessarily the highest value shrine, I think, of all the shrines you could build. Carthage has it too, but I like that they put their growth shrine out right away, combined it with a granary, and said, no, man, I'm going to be building some disciples and shit, so I'm going to boost that growth right away. I think sometimes when you have the growth, something like the growth shrine, you can kind of stall and figure out, like, stall on, like, well, where do I want to put this? How do I want to use it? Which ends up resulting in you forgetting to even build it in the first place. And that can be shitty in terms of, I mean, sometimes it can be useful because it gets you the border boost. So that tends to be what you hang on to it for. It's like the crappy shrines that you don't need right away. You tend to, what on earth is happening? So we are coming to the Vandal site? I hate this. Just kill the Gauls. There's also another camel right there. All right, well, whatever. We are going trapping now instead. So neither administration or land consolidation. Okay, that does solve the thing that I talked about not having range units, but you know what else would also solve not having range units? The camel. But it's fine. Certainly would get range units a lot quicker by grabbing trapping. Range units in the next 5 turns would be, 5 to 7 turns would be better than range units in the next 15 turns, which is what we would be looking at with a camel, with the land consolidation play. So again, I don't blame the pivot. I'm just getting excited because I want to see camels on the map. I tried to start a camel meta, and then everybody just went and picked Carthage instead. All right, now we're building a warrior, which is nice. That's good. I'd like to see that. Maybe another one up here. Man, I'm really... Oh, we had a death. We have a new ruler on the throne. Tactics, dog owner, 16 years old, so no archetype just yet. And it doesn't look like we're going to get a regency for these last couple of years. Unless we opted to... I don't know if we had the event. Yep, you could go for coastal movement to speed up the road, to neglect the need for roads. Colonies would be useful for that, especially as Carthage when you have the income. Kick into colonies for a few turns and just buy along this whole coast. That would be useful. I think from what I can tell from this positioning, I'm getting the sense that for whatever reason, right or wrong, Hazard probably is prioritizing this corridor. Certainly the lower plains would be better for his elephants. I would love to see either player send a worker out into these woods and do some nice early preemptive chopping. If you've watched me play, you'll know that I burn almost every forest down because I hate them. No, that's not true. But I want the wood, and so if it were me, probably these forests would be burnt. At least this forest would be burnt. This would be trickier to deal with because there's a lot of it, but I don't know. It depends on how I'm doing on orders and how I feel I'm doing on tempo. That can play another factor. If I feel like I'm behind my opponent in tempo, then you're not going to see me go on a chopping spree too much because I need my orders for other stuff. But if you see me chopping a lot, then that means I probably think I have better tempo than you. And one thing that helps me guide that decision, by the way, is this little thing up here. You can look at laws, right? So as Carthage, I can see that my opponent does not have serfdom. I mean, it has serfdom, right? And then as Rome, I can see that my opponent has serfdom. So one thing that can help me decide if I can afford a shopping spree is if I have serfdom and my opponent doesn't. Because then I keep an eye on that every couple of turns, and then I get a sense of, well, how many turns have I had an extra 5 orders per turn than my opponent? Because that can be that can translate to a whole number of things. It can translate to more improvements. It can translate to better clearing, and one of the things it can translate to is more allowance for chopping sprees. Getting military drill as Carthage, like to see that. And we're getting trapping for the first time as Rome. That could be another consideration. I've been asked in chat which match so far has been my favorite. Honestly, possibly the match that led to the match that we're in now. Yagman is replacing... Hazard is replacing Yagman, who had to drop out of the tournament for scheduling reasons. She didn't have the time to commit to the games. But I think his match against Nazar has been one of the most entertaining matches to watch. And it's funny because if you watch that match, what's really funny about that is that there are 2 very big moments in the match of conflict and tension. At least 2, right? But overall, I think not a lot necessarily happens. But what makes that match so entertaining is the tension of the game and the potential of the things that could happen. There were lots of twists and turns in that match where something happened for one player. And it really elevated the tension of watching that game and commenting on it. Players would make mistakes, and then players would make decisions that would correct those mistakes, and then a player would make a different mistake. It was just back and forth between the possibility of what could happen, and I just really, really loved that match. But honestly, so many of the matches have been so good. They're just so great to watch. It is unfortunate that they're time-consuming because, of course, like in a match like this, there's lots of it which is build-up, right? So a lot of this. Really love stone woodcutters, by the way. This is great. Another thing, 3-turn woodcutter. Think about how often it takes you to build an urban settler, right? An urban specialist. 5 turns, maybe 4 turns if you have good civics, right? So if you get land... This is another thing about early forestry with landowners. Suddenly, you get yourself a bunch of science specialists because you have good citizen production, you have easy lumber mill production, and every rural specialist that's a woodcutter gets you as much science as if it were an urban specialist. You don't get to benefit from the fun stuff like Constitution or whatever, but that's probably another reason why I don't value Constitution all that much, is that I do shit like this with landowners. But yeah, you fill every one of these forest tiles with a woodcutter, and your science is going to jump up another 6 to 8 points. And that's pretty solid early on because it's not going to take that much investment. It's going to take like 9 turns to do that. So that's effectively an increase of 1 science per turn every turn for like the next 9 turns on average. That math is probably a little wrong, but yeah, thereabouts. But yeah, Nazar Yagman was a really good match. Yagman and Marauder was a really good... Honestly, I loved watching Yagman play. So it was a real big bummer to see him back out of the tournament. But of course, we understand. Bull Moose versus Moreton. It's a good match. Bull Moose's very first match was funny. That's a highlight. and probably even the very first game of the match of the tournament. It was a 7-hour single session marathon game between Oro and Ninja. That was shocking, to say the least, pretty much throughout, and there was lots of really, really great tension throughout. Ninja is a tremendously strong player, and Oro is proving to be a incredibly good player in the tournament as well, and that was a real delight. So, honestly, it's hard to pick. There's so many good matches. We can adopt slavery. Yep, we're adopting slavery as Carthage, and we're going to head back over to Anarkos. Looks like we're just kind of slowly getting ourselves forward. Let's take a stat check on these orders here. About 17 per turn for each player, 18 for Carthage, 16 for Rome. Both should have serfdom at this point. And oddly enough, I liked my match. I played my match, my Babylon match. But I did take a little moment to go back. That was Purple Blue Moose's first time casting. So I didn't watch all of it, but I skipped around, and I wanted to A, give him the view, but B, I hadn't watched my own tournament match, so I was curious, and I wanted to also check out his style. Bull Moose is a very good content creator with pretty much the pitch-perfect radio voice. Very nice to have. And I think my match was fun to watch, too, because of the camels. I really appreciated... Again, I guess I'm complimenting myself here, but I liked the Babylon pick because we haven't seen a lot of Babylon. I became pretty committed that I was probably going to pick Babylon or Axum. Mostly because I want to get Axum a win. And Babylon is fun, and I wanted to give them some love. And then the camels. The camels really made that match for me. So I think as a viewer, if you are looking for something a little bit different, check out Siontific versus Seasand. I think that's a good match, just because, not because I'm in it, but because it has some cool stuff in it. And of course, it's the first cast for Bull Moose, so sending some love his way in the tournament is always nice. I think I've been lucky enough to cast most of these, but it's also nice when the others like Nazar and Kitten, and we've had Sino and Aaron, I believe, step in. So even Solver showed up and co-hosted a game. I think that's fantastic. So it's really, really nice to have everybody get involved, and I try to pop in at least once or twice during the live streams to try and get some comments in. So we're dealing with these raids, and it does look like we're finally getting up as Rome and getting ready to clear this site. That's really good. Happy to see that. Unfortunately, we're not going to clear it in 3 turns, so we're going to learn a lesson. Anarkos is about to learn a lesson, and we'll come back to that. I don't think we'll clear it in 3 turns. Oh, maybe we will. Oh, yeah, no, never mind. I didn't notice this. Okay, yeah, we'll clear it in 2. That's fine. Back to Carthage. How is our army doing? We still don't have any new... We have a warrior coming out, so still primarily tribes. Military drill in 2 turns, though. So, once we start building military units, it'll come out pretty efficiently. We're building our elephant supply. Oh, but no, guys! Guys, it's going to happen! 1 turn away from his elephant supply. He has 4 laws. He has developing culture. But what is he missing? Guys, where is his garrison and stronghold? Damn it! It's always one piece of the puzzle that's missing. You have your elephant. Here, you have your garrison. But still another 9 turns. God damn it. Always. It's very possible to do 6 laws, unique unit, in like 35, 40 turns. or maybe even 30 turns, to be honest, depending on who you're playing. Very, very possible to do it, but you just need to make sure every single thing is firing. You need the culture, you need the technology, you need the civics. I cut that out the first time I went over this, but because we were playing Carthage, they always have the civics. So that's step 4. You need civics, you need science, you need culture, and then you need the 2 improvements, which are at least 9 turns worth of build time if you don't have a builder on the throne or a judge, right? So think of that. Add that all up. 9 turns just to build the shit, or 5 if we're just banking on the stronghold and assuming we already had the garrison and everything set up, right? But we don't here, so we can't make that assumption, right? Because we don't have the stronghold here. So even after this, once we send a worker back here, it's still going to take us about 9 turns. Well, no, we can stack, I guess. We can stack workers back here. So that's going to go for it. Oh, no, we don't have a builder. We have a tactician now. That's nice. That's good news. So no stacking. So yeah, we're 9 turns. And once a worker gets back here to build our garrison and our stronghold, we're 9 turns away from our unique unit now because we messed up the improvement pacing. That's the core aspect. Civics, science, culture, and then build time. 4 different things that you need to nail and have them all happening, firing at roughly the same time, which again is one of my absolute favorite things about this game. I love that it's not just you get a technology and you get your unit, or you build a building and you get your unit. It's like, no, you need to develop a city correctly, do your tech path right, get your government online, Your government needs to be online, and then you can build your signature unit. Love it. Fantastic mechanic. Whoever thought of that is a goddamn genius. All right, back over to Rome. How are we doing over here? Now, Rome, on the other hand, at least 2 turns into a garrison. Good for him. How about laws? We're getting phalanx. Why? I mean, I guess spears are good. I'm hyper fixating on this camel. I'm thinking like the camel's going to do everything we ever need it to do. So now I'm like, who needs spears when you have camels? But no, spears are fine. Anything else come? Whether you need... Oh, steel. Okay, the Hestus comes from steel. The other thing I really like about an early land consolidation is this. This free horseman is such a good grab if you have the science to spare for it early. Getting a 6 strength routing unit within... We would have this around now, maybe in 4 turns from now if we just beeline for it. Also very, very useful. Because you think, what is the 4-law power spike, right? It's 6 strength units. So things like bonus card units like the Hestus or the free elephant over here, or the free horseman, or the maceman, those are 6 strength power spikes too. Not reliable and consistent ones, but if you have really, really strong science output, you can leverage it quite nicely. It's a nice cap off to like going deep and grabbing land consolidation early. Back over to the Axeman. I feel like this disciple has been taking a million years to build, but I guess we're just moving a little slow because it's on tight. One turn military drill. Yeah, I really like this road network. Some players are averse to building roads, but it really does save you orders over a long time. It's like a huge order investment. I think it literally only takes something like 2 or 3 units to travel over one road over the course of the game for it to have paid itself back in terms of the investment and orders it took to build the road. It's not a lot of travel at all to make it more than worth it. So especially when you're in this arena where it's like you're going to be moving towards your opponent to fight them. Really nice scouting here, really nice vision. So don't forget, we've already lost 2 scouts as the Romans. As the Carthaginians, and now we have more scouts on the front lines paying attention. And we have the tactician set up, which is just gorgeous. Very easily overlookable ability, the extra vision that they get on all of their shit, and it's as somebody who has been on the receiving end of trying to stage an attack against a tactician, or kind of like just organize your own units, it can be super annoying to know that they could just see so far into your territory. Carthage is still at a point where they can buy most of their stone, but they are putting their stone up now, which isn't too bad. But yeah, their economy is decent enough, especially for having 275 gold income per turn. It could be higher, but and this is what I'm thinking. Like, you spend so much time stacking those builders. Like, the time it took you to stack and build this one shrine, you could have just had 2 more quarries right here, I think. So I would rather a shrine and 2 quarries in 4 turns. Technically, the quarries would be done in 3, right? Rather than the shrine finished in 2 turns, That's the way I look at it. Because either way, I'm spending all of the orders on the improvements, right? Building a miner. Okay. All right. Get salt. Salt is useful for the riders. Not always the worst idea to have the preferred luxury lying around if you need it. Take a look at the political situation in Rome. I haven't checked that in a while. All right, so the statesmen still suck, and mostly because they're a superstitious commander. And we got an earthquake. So we've had a rebellion and an earthquake in Rome, and things in Carthage has just been squeaky clean for as much as I can tell this match. And of course, all the raiders went in the direction of Rome as well, because Carthage is friends with everybody. Now, again, same situation. So we called this, right? We knew what he was doing, and yeah, he's going directly across the map. Straight line from his capital, and I have to tell you, I love this. 1000% I love this. This is the type of shit you want to see. Just a straight line directly to your opponent. Love it. Really nice. With that, I'm going to keep the focus and the action right here. I'm just going to get up and I'm going to fill my water. And I'll be back in just a moment. Right, we are back, and love to see this. We very efficient clearing here. We'll basically be clearing. Oh, unless this spawns. Okay, so are we gonna get the meta? Are we gonna learn our lesson? We might learn our lesson here. We might have done this wrong. I don't know if this is one turn from now or if this is next turn. I forget who's first. Hazard is first, so I think we're fine. Okay, never mind. Basically, the whole point about this, see this timer down here? It says develop into Gallic encampment. If this ticks over, what happens is the unit inside the camp is going to jump out of the camp. And the more powerful upgrade unit will replace it. So if you run out of time with this timer here that says, it's going to become an encampment, you can make the mistake of trying to put damage onto a unit that you're not even going to be able to kill to clear the camp because you're just going to hop out and then you're going to get a different full health unit in there. So in a situation like this, you might as well just kill stuff around the camp or wait. And here we go. We are right up front and center. Hazard has brought the axe, or in this case, the spear thing, javelin, and he poked somebody, which is fun. So we'll get a little action before this first session ends. We have been streaming for 2.5 hours, and I believe our players said they'd be playing for about 3, maybe 3.5 hours. So this session should come to a close soon. And see, love this. I know there was a bit of a pause there a second ago when I said, oh no, we're getting trapping, but this is exactly what I was talking about, and this is why the trapping pivot becomes necessary, because you can't go into turn 40 and have a situation where conflict seems like it's about to be starting and you find yourself without any military units. We're still looking at Rome here, and we still have only the free archer available to us, and that's just not the type of situation you want to be in when you're about to start a potential fight. Unfortunately for Carthage, there's no real actual fight that's going to happen here. So really, I'd be curious. I'd be curious. Be curious what we choose to do here as Rome, because you could make some aggressive movements. Really could make some aggressive movements and get some workers out of this. We have 21 orders. Let's take a pop on over to Carthage and see how far they can get. Not really that far at all. We do have a peace treaty with the Gauls now as well, so that's interesting. Yeah, so we do clear this camp. And I kind of want him to not attack the skirmisher. I kind of want him to come back all the way here, get on this road, stun this worker, and get these guys in a position where they're going to have a hard time escaping. Just go aggressive with it, right? Punish this. I love this ballsiness from Hazard. It's really entertaining to see, but I don't think it was necessary. And we do have the ability to clear up here as well, and we are going to want to do this before this camp spawns. Otherwise, we will learn that lesson as discussed. There we go. Oh! Oh, no, we have to move. Come on. You got this. You got it. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. We force-marched a militia. Boo, Anarkos. All right, that's grumpy. That's grumpy, Anarkos. Sorry, buddy. You're doing great. You're doing great, but that, you just look at your other options. Gotta look at your other options. That's all. We have an archer coming up. We are taking out the militia. Still would probably like to see running this guy back here, and oh no, we got a crit. Okay, well. Okay. Alright, so we're being reserved. That's fine. Nothing wrong with being reserved. Tense competitive atmosphere. Don't want to make the wrong mistake. Although sometimes being reserved can be the wrong mistake. So, what are you supposed to do at any given moment? Nobody knows. We just say stuff. 2 turns of phalanx, which will be nice. Can get some solid upgrades. We do have the resources for it, and we have a solid economy. Nice, decent stone output. Could really afford to increase this iron output, but 26 wood per turn is certainly great to see. Our wood woes. I mean, there's just so much stuff to chop here. You could chop all this down. You could chop the remainder of this down. You could leave these, basically, again, like I normally say, as I just tend to leave the rivers 2 places. First place that's important is the woods around the rivers. The second place that's nice is woods that are next to hills. And the reason for this is that you can put a mill here eventually, and that'll really buff the wood. And then the final place is, do we have any examples? Woods next to camps, because camps will buff nearby forests as well. And it looks like this session will be coming to a close momentarily. 2.5 hours in, thereabouts. Yep, 2 hours, 35 minutes. Not bad. Nice build-up session here. Couple of nice opportunities to learn a bit if you've been tuning in. Oh, wow. We're going right for forts. Okay. Interesting. Wasting no time. Building and putting our units in forts. We can aggress against this. We could 100% aggress against this. And I don't think Carthage would be able to contest. Again, not 100% sure if that's the correct thing to do, but it's certainly a thing we could do. But this goes back to why I was saying it would have been nice to see plopping the ruler here stun one of these workers, because then it would have been more difficult for these workers to just slip back here and build these improvements. It's always important to, I think, punish worker movements and stuff. You know who did a good job actually of that? Aaron did a good job against that in our game. I've sent a couple of workers out into the wilderness to chop forests, and he had no issue. Was spending the orders, taking the time, and then of course putting his units at risk, which you know, you could always potentially lose a military unit if you put it in the wrong spot. But he had no issue killing a couple of my workers early on while I was trying to run out and do, you know, wilderness stuff like this. So stuff like this is cool, and I definitely think it should be done. I think this road should be done. I've built roads all the way up like this, and I also have no problem throwing workers away to achieve a goal. But I probably would have stopped here for now and maybe built the road once I was ready to actually fight a battle. That way, even if I did lose the workers, maybe I could take some military units for it. Things like that. So this is still good, but also it's important if you see your opponent doing this, if you're available and it's not going to tax you too much, of course. Again, not saying that Anarkos should have 100% punished the workers, but certainly with an option on the table for him. Something to consider. Building another disciple. Interesting. Going for Polis. Interesting. And so we really want Zoroastrianism everywhere. But yet we seem to be in no real rush to get monasticism, which is what would give us either all of the orders for it or the ability to build shrines. We'll see if we're ending specifically on this turn or if that was the last turn. All right, yep. So Anarkos is going to end his final move. We do have another settler set up, which is nice because we have a site cleared. And we have another settler in 5 turns. So we will fully colonize our entire side of the map at a little bit better of a pace than the Carthaginians. Remember, Carthage is at peace with the Gauls now. So, and I think they're still at truce with the Vandals as well, right? Yep, and they're at truce with the Vandals. So, Rome is about to be up 3 city sites on their Carthaginian opponent. Probably not a place where you want to be as Carthage. And again, let's not forget that the majority of the military in Rome, literally everything except 1 unit, is a champion's unit. That's the other thing about choosing capitals, by the way. Champions and hunters' capitals make interesting choices when it comes to the bonus units in the tech tree. So things like the free ballista or the free horseman, things like that we've talked about, because the bonus units always come out as the family that the capital belongs to. Always. So it's a good way to put, so for example, this archer has steadfast because it came out as a champion's unit, or if it were a hunter's seat, the capital with a hunter's seat, it would come out with sentinel. Always worth considering. Okay, getting our scout out into the woods here as Rome. Coming up and killing something. And getting herself in the site there. Interesting. Getting a little bit of roads online here. I'd like to see a few more. The settler moved up. 5 orders left before the session closes. Getting another apprentice for some science. I'll do some stat comparisons in a moment before we close out the session. Interesting. Getting a miner. Okay. Getting a little bit more training there. Probably boosting those borders. Decent enough training in a random landowner city to have, though. Would like to see some more lumber mills around this to boost that training further. Get it up to 15 training, which would only be 6 down from the hunters, from the champ seat. And all right, we're building that last core. That concludes our final move. Political situation in Rome is looking just dandy. Green all around, and I believe we're doing fine over in Carthage as well. Mostly green. The Zoroastrianisms don't like us too much, but that's fine. All right, so let's do a quick stat recap of where we are at after our first session. 40 turns in, we've set up both of our empires. We have 5 cities in Carthage, 6 cities in Rome, with another 2 on the way, with 2 tribal sites cleared. Again, we're going to have that issue where Carthage is going to need to make a decision about whether they're clearing these sites or just going to use them as a tribal unit farm. Okay, so now let's look at national wealth is even between both players at this moment. So I think Rome has done a good job of propping up their economy early on. Population leans Rome. Specialist leans Rome 5-3. Workers produced even on both sides. In fact, a couple of the workers produced for Carthage were actually disciples, so total workers produced is actually benefit Rome here. Military unit produced 6 for Rome, 0 for Carthage, but of course Carthage does have 12 mercenaries. That could become an issue long term, since again all of those mercenaries will be vulnerable to the champion's steadfast bonus. Military units killed, doesn't matter really. Camps cleared, yeah. Lots more camp clearing on the Carthage side. On the Roman side. Laws adopted. Carthage does have their 4 laws, but currently no place they can produce a unique unit. We have a worker headed back to the capital to get our stronghold and garrison up. However, that's going to be at least another 9 turns before that actually happens, because you're going to need to build both, and you no longer have a builder on the throne. We are building a barracks here, which is good to see. We are 6 turns away from being able to build our stronghold in this seat, so we're looking at another about 11 turns before we can build an elephant out of Cartena. Rome, on the other hand, has 3 active laws, and what are they currently researching? They are currently researching phalanx. They had no law option, so their next options will be land consolidation. Oh, wait, no, that's going to be a discard pile, so that's going to shuffle, so who knows what they'll get next. They're looking at maybe land consolidation. They're looking at Ooh, interesting husbandry's flagged. Rhetoric's flagged, that would be their fourth law. And another good decent grab would be military drill to get some barracks online as well. All right, so continuing down the stats here, we have 19 improvements for the Carthaginians versus 15 for Rome. So that's interesting that the wealth in Rome is currently higher at the moment. But and then text discovered 8 and 8. So that's interesting. Let's take a look at the science then. Science is still a net gain for Rome. We're looking at 44 science per turn to 35 with 1,100 science put into the tree versus Carthage's 850. So still a few more, a bit larger scientific output on the Roman side. We'll do orders. Orders both are neck and neck in orders 24 to 22 plus or minus worker turns. And then military score, again, 470 to 360. So they are similar, except the majority of this strength, the vast majority of the strength, is all tribal, while the vast majority of this is all steadfast. Going to be an interesting thing to see if our opponents clash early on next turn, because I think there will be a massive advantage for Rome if that happens. Especially, both players do have a tactician on the throne. However, the Roman one is old, and we have a judge on the throne as a judge as heir. What else is? We also could pivot to a commander if we want, and that's pretty much our only option: judge or a commander. And the last things I want to check in terms of stats would be, I mean, I guess that's pretty much it. Legitimacy, really nice legitimacy on Rome, and middling legitimacy on Carthage at this stage in the game. That could be a little bit higher. Not the worst, but it could be a little bit higher. All right. So that is the current first session of Hazard Brings Axe versus Anarkos. Thank you for tuning in. There's still 20 of you here live and chat with me now, so I appreciate you being here with me on the journey. If you're watching after the fact on YouTube, please don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and check out the Discord channel and join the conversation. I'm Siontific, and this has been the Old World Community Tournament. Thanks for watching.